Something really cool that Lucid can do is actually work with multiple layers, which you can of course toggle on and off from the panel here, but you can also set up using shape actions. So I might set up, for example, a layer or a button rather of sorts on the canvas where I want to come in, and when I click on this, I want to show my current state and I want to hide my future state. I might have another one that I'm going to do something very similar. I'm going to just do the opposite. I want to show the future state and I want to hide the current state. What this does is it means that I can actually click on these and it'll toggle between those two layers. It will change the visibility states of these. Now, one thing though is, well, what if I want to know which layer I'm on? People have done this in the past by adding things like a title to the layer. But also sometimes you might want to know if the layer's on in a way by just seeing, if the color changes on this button. And there's actually kind of a fun way to do this. So one thing to be aware of is that when you click on a layer and you open up this contextual panel over on the side, layers effectively function as groups in Lucidchart. So I can actually add a custom data to the entire layer. Maybe this is, hi, or let's give it something real. It's the current layer. And one of the things that I could then do is pull the label for effectively this layer or group. And I would do that by putting in the formula equals label and then passing in this. I actually don't even have to. It's going to just sort of assume that I want to know the layer of the current thing, or the label of the current thing that I'm on, which in this case is my layer. Okay, so I've come in here and I've added, the label here. And what I want to do next is I want to come over and I want to copy that value. So that value is the label for my layer. And I've done this on both. Both of my layers actually have pulled their own label, which is just sort of a unique identifier. And I'm going to hover over that value, the kind of funky string. I'm going to click on the three dots and say copy. What that does is it ensures that I'm copying the value and not the formula label. Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to one of my buttons here. So this one is looking for current state, and I just copied that layer. Now what I want to make sure that I do here is I created a property called, in this case, linked layer. I just went ahead and named it. Is I want to make sure that I reference that layer. So I don't just want to put in the label, that's just sort of a string, a bunch of characters. What I want it to do is actually say equals, and then the way we reference a shape by its label is with the pound symbol, the hashtag symbol, and then in quotes, I'm going to put that weird string. And this is going to look empty, but it's actually calling the reference to specifically that label. So I'm just going to copy what I just did there, and I'm going to do the same thing on my future little button, which I've also created the linked layer property here, except I'm going to go back to future state. I'm going to hover over my value for the future state. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come back to this one, and I'm just going to update the formula with the proper label. So now these are actually linked to the layers that they are looking for. And what I can do now is create a conditional formatting rule. So I could say, all right, go ahead and create the rule, make sure I don't have anything selected, and I'm going to say, based on shape data, if, actually not sorry, shape data, I'm going to do a formula, and I'm going to say equals is visible. What I want to pass into that is a specific property, which in this case is at linked layer. Because what this is going to say is, okay, grab anything that has that property linked layer and check if it's visible, because these are going to be pointing towards these different layers here. And you'll notice now that if I were to Control-Shift-Click to hide, the future one loses its icon, and then the current one does based on which layer is actually being displayed. So if I display those layers again, you can see current has a check mark, current is visible, current is what we're seeing. And if I do the same thing here where I turn off current and show future, future is visible, future is being shown, and future has a check mark. And I can make this look a little bit better. Perhaps instead of icons, I want to do shape style. So in this case, maybe I want to turn this, a nice bright color here when things should be turned on and off. So I have this nice little rule that's actually going to tell me which layer is being displayed. I can style this as much as I want. Maybe make the font white, maybe make the default color a darker color here. Oops. Made the font a darker color. Let's make the default color white. Um, Make the default color dark. What am I doing? Anyway, what's going to happen here is as I click between these, it's going to actually display for me based on the color which layers are visible here. And it's a pretty nice hack to be able to use with Lucidchart.